Hello, welcome to Protégés, where we address real-life topics from a godly perspective. I am your host, Travis Johnson. Today, I will be addressing black marriages in the past, including the Great Depression and the Jim Crow era, and taking a look at marriage presently and headed into the future. Please like and subscribe to my channel. You don't want to miss out on more content going forward. Let's get started. I want to preface this show off by saying I don't want this to seem as though I'm trying to beat my black community down. However, it is no secret that my ethnic people, black people, in regard to marriage, are a severely fractured community. The black community is devastated by drugs, gang violence, multiple children being born out of wedlock, virtually no fathers in the home. And because of this, by default, black homes are overrun with single mothers with multiple children. The children lose their identity and purpose at a very young age. And children are being raised by the streets. The children struggle with poor performance in school as well. Black homes are overrun with single mothers with multiple children. Also, because of no fathers dwelling in the home, children have little respect for authority. They don't see the importance of marriage. Black girls don't know how real men look or how they should be treated. And the black boys don't know how to treat their mothers and obviously younger girls, their peers. These boys are growing up extremely soft. Now, why do I say this? How can and why would I say this? Why is this so important? Enough with coming down on the black community, right? I say this because this is a reality. I grew up without a true father in my home. My mother worked sometimes 2 to 3 jobs. No one was there to look after me or my twin sister. We got into all kinds of things. I don't want to talk about my sister, but I will tell you about me. I got into pornography at a young age. I smoked so much weed, all at the age of 9 till about 16. I skipped school. I couldn't read until I was in the 11th grade. I had sex with so many girls. I graduated from high school at 20 years old. Yes, 20. I had no respect for authority and did not trust men at all. The breakdown of the family and the black community has had a devastating impact on blacks as a whole. I can say this without embellishment. 95% of friends I grew up with in my community in Memphis, Tennessee, or what we call Binghamton and Mitchell Heights, North Memphis, were homes with single mothers, aka baby mamas. Oftentimes, we were home alone because our mothers were working or we were being babysat by young teenage girls who were not qualified to look after us. Most of us, and especially the girls, were molested and raped by the brothers of the babysitters or our uncles and cousins. Girls were having babies at 13 and 16 years of age. Without husbands, much less fathers, mothers were forced to go on welfare. Can you imagine the horrible impact of this situation on the hearts and minds of us kids? Without my father, who I just wanted to call me on holidays or on my birthday to say, happy birthday, or son, I love you. I never got that once. Instead, I grew up wondering why my father didn't love or want me. My stepfather was both verbally and physically abusive to my mother, my twin sister, and me. My childhood was full of trauma. Marriage is so important for the mental and social health of black children. Just by hearing a little bit about my life, you can see how horrible it is for children to grow up without a man. More importantly, a strong God-fearing husband and father. You see, having strong godly marriages are so vital to the children and our world at large. I remember thinking, I wish my mother and father were together, married, and things would be okay. I didn't know to call it marriage because I never saw it. I remember in the 1980s and 1990s being bused to a primarily white elementary school where a lot of my friends were white and Jewish. The school was Shady Grove Elementary, located in Memphis, Tennessee. I remember the Matthew Ashburgers, the Corey Walkers, Lori Pitts, Holly Jellisons, and all the others whose fathers and mothers were in their homes, who were so involved in their children's education and life. All of them were honor roll students and speakers at our school plays and award ceremonies, which I always wanted to participate in as a speaker and a winner of awards, but that never happened. They would win principal's list, the school's mascot awards, and honor roll. I remember being jealous of them and their families. This is why I want to talk about the importance of marriage in the Black community. Let's consider marriage post the Great Depression and the Jim Crow era. For Black people, the first thing you need to know is that the Jim Crow era and the Great Depression were intertwined with one another. But the Jim Crow era surpassed the Great Depression. The Jim Crow era was from 1877 to 1954, or maybe a little bit more. And the Great Depression was from 1929 to 1939. The Great Depression, known as the Roaring Twenties, was hard for both white and Black people. During the Great Depression, a quarter of the U.S. workforce was unemployed. There were food shortages. Even upper middle class professionals such as doctors, lawyers, they saw incomes drop by as much as 40%. Americans lived by the Depression motto, use it up, wear it out, make do, or do without. Times were hard, to say the least. As a result, marriages were at an all-time low. People just weren't getting married for obvious reasons. The Jim Crow era was hard for Black people for many reasons. During the Jim Crow era, Blacks were faced with injustice and harsh crimes done against them. Blacks had to deal with the Ku Klux Klan. Blacks were being lynched. And then there was the Black Codes. Black Codes was about how, when, and where Blacks could work, and this forced Black people into indentured servitude. Blacks were often thrown into jail for no reason. So it goes without saying, it was an evil time. Let's look at numbers concerning the Black marriages in comparison to white marriages. With all the struggle in America during the Great Depression, the numbers show after the Great Depression and the Jim Crow era, when situations were dire and extremely hard, Black marriages increased. In the 1940s, marriages for Blacks was at 80.4% compared to white marriages at 82.8%. In 1950, marriages for Blacks were at 85.4% compared to white marriages at 87.2%. And in the 1960s, marriages for Blacks was at 83.5% compared to white marriages at 89.3%. So, what the numbers say is that marriage in the Black community was stronger when things were much harder. Black marriages in comparison to white marriages after the Great Depression and the Jim Crow era was only a 3.4% difference. Black marriages from 1940 to 1960 increased by 3.1%, while white marriages from 1940 to 1960 increased by 6.5%. Almost equal. These are amazing numbers. I'll put the link to those numbers and that information in the description below. So what played a major role in the breakdown of black families? I know that white, Hispanic, and Asians all benefited and currently benefit from welfare. But my focus is on the black community. Again, this is not to bash black people, but to aid in a much-needed change and push for my ethnic people to embrace God's institution and the union of man and woman as husband and wife, rearing and raising godly children. Having said all that, Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty presented an abundance of awful problems in the black community. The War on Poverty legislation was introduced in January of 1964 and brought forth the Economic Opportunity Act. The Economic Opportunity Act established the Office of Economic Opportunity, which aimed to eliminate poverty for residents of low-income neighborhoods. This basically can be summed up as welfare. Welfare was supposed to be a good thing, right? Well, what was supposed to be a good thing turned out to be an insurmountable problem in the black community. Why? The welfare state became problematic because it took away the responsibility of the black man. Black women no longer needed a man to take care of them. I heard it all the time growing up. And if you're honest, you did too, black folks. And I quote, "I can do bad all by myself." Black women said this all the time. Black women were able to get food stamps and housing. And in most cases, they could only do this if there was no man in the home. In fact, men were encouraged and told by the women or baby mamas they could not be in the homes because they wouldn't be able to get the benefits. So now the man is not needed. And if the man is not needed, there are no fathers there to lead, protect, teach, or die for his family. The mothers are left in desperate situations, and the kids are left in dangerous situations like molestation, rape, abuse from mama's boyfriend, and other men in the neighborhood. No example of a father or husband. Drug dealers and gang members started raising the boys. Kids having identity issues was another problem. I experienced and saw the effects of this. It is absolutely horrible to see what my ethnic people are living through due to the breakdown of the family. I have a video that I want to play as further evidence of what is being produced as a result of no fathers being present in the home. And if the father is present in the home of this boy, he is an evil and derelict father who deserves to be put in jail. Watch this 8-year-old boy and the boys who are encouraging this horrible display of evil.
Shake spot, keep it short like a burger box. 200K on the AP, booger sit on the beat like a $4 watch. I eat the free for the free 99. I eat the beef for the free all the time. Tell she mine, she act like she mine. Tell she mine, I know she ain't mine. I hit a raw like I caught in the moment. Shut the bitch up, I go like Stoney. Act like you want it, he saying he want it. Talk like you want it, I know he don't want it. He got a bar, so and what? Get the buzz in shoes, he glance up. Pull over, don't spot like SWAT. Make you come out that beat with your hands up. I got niggas just a runner mode. Look at me, I'm in the centerfold. She be with me, this baby gone tomorrow. Just a runner mode. Look at me, I'm in the centerfold. She be with me, this baby gone tomorrow. Stand go with her mode.
This was so hard for me to see. I didn't think I would ever see this type of behavior from an 8-year-old. Where is his father? This is why husbands and fathers are needed in the homes of the black families. Now, I know some faithful black fathers. I'll name and speak about a few. These men had a profound impact on my life for Christ while I was just 16 and even until this very day. They are husbands and fathers who taught me so much about family. First, Wesley Sincor, a former teacher at Treadwell High School in Memphis, Tennessee, who became my mentor and big brother and was like a father figure at times. This man took me to his house and allowed me to spend time with his family. He played basketball with me and supported me while I was in college more than a couple of years. Second, Brian Miles, Uncle Brian. Family, if you ever see this, you'll never know how much you mean to me. Taking me to your college practices and letting me compete with those boys allowed me to dream again. Being around your family was a complete joy and honor as well. Seeing you run your business impacted my mind and heart. And lastly, Isaac William Little IV. This man led me to Jesus Christ and is a huge reason why I am a Christian today. He was such a consistent man of high character and integrity. He spoke to me about working hard and graduating high school. He is the reason I did not give up and graduated high school even at 20 years old. He talked to me every day in the hallways about Jesus. I am so grateful for these men and will always love them dearly. They all had one thing in common. They were Christian men that lived it before me and led me in the right way. This just isn't the case for the majority of black families, much less the children, or more importantly, these black boys. We need men, faithful and godly men, men to take on God's mandate in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, and lead godly families. Which takes me to marriage in the black community today. Marriage in the black community is at an all-time low. The numbers show in the Census Bureau that in 2020, the numbers flipped from the percentages that was calculated in 1960. In 1960, black marriages were at 83.5% compared to white marriages at 89.3%. In 2020, the number of blacks that were married had decreased to 32%, with 68% not married. So about 70% of blacks today are not getting married. This is an absolute devastating fact, and we wonder why things are so bad. We need fathers in the home, not just fathers. Godly husbands and fathers need to be in the home. There needs to be a spiritual awakening in the homes of black families. Black men need to embrace Jesus Christ and follow him. The solution is Jesus Christ and being reconciled to God the Father first, then obeying God's mandate of marriage, being fruitful and multiply. The children's lives and eternal security depend on you men. Black children are being lost to this worldly system, to the streets, entertainment, and the public schools. Be the men God has called us to be. Lead with godly character and integrity. Lead with humility. Lead with gentleness. But lead, black men. We should want to see the black community doing well and the mothers being fully supported and children being led. Why would you want to see the black community suffering any longer? Why would you fathers who are not involved in your kids' lives want to see them weighed down with immense trauma? Black men, why would you want to allow your children to grow up with a continued mindset of failure and worthlessness? Black men, run to the Lord Jesus and repent of this reprobate mindset and lifestyle of baby mama drama and obey God. Get married and lead your family and train your children in the fear and admonition of the Lord. That is it. We have reached the end of the show. Please like and subscribe and share this with as many as your friends and family as you can. Until next time, God bless, and go and be protégés of Christ while in this world. Grace and peace.